Hello everyone, Chris Sawyer here. Welcome to the Varietal Show. I'm back right now. We're looking at an amazing map right now of the Petaluma Gap coming in right here into the town of Petaluma off the ocean. And I'm with my great friend Ana Keller of Keller Estate Winery.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
So one of the great things about being here today, obviously we're still in that kind of strange sip period, social distancing. We are not next to each other. We're near each other, but not next to each other. We made sure that we had to be arm's length. But the fact is, we wanted to talk about great wines with you guys. And the Petaluma Gap appellation became what it is a long time ago. I actually named this appellation 20 years ago. But it is, as far as we know, the most recent appellation named in America, and that was in late 2017, and the only one, as far as we can tell, it's under the Trump administration. And it's only because Obama actually had already approved it, but it's different. Anna, I'm so glad to be back here. We did a little thing, and you can watch that other show on Pinot Gris, which they grow here as well, and obviously some great Chardonnay. And here we are at this great site. Tell everyone about the Keller Estate and why it's so great and why do I love it so much.
Well, I think what I love about it and what you love about it is we are 100% estate. So we only make wines from the fruit that we grow on our property, which allows people to come back and see how we've traveled through time, what we're learning, how we're improving, how the different years change the wines that we're making. And that's why we have a variety of wines that we make, because we've been exploring every year, well, over the past 30 years, what grows best in this region.
Yeah, a variety of wines, the Varietal Show, no duh. In this case, Pinot Noir is what we're going to be talking about. This is the first one we're going to taste is the 2017, which is the newer release. La Cruz Vineyard is what we're looking at over here. And you guys can come visit by appointment only, but kellerestate.com, of course. This is the Petaluma Gap, and this is one of the first bottlings that you got to put the Petaluma Gap name on.
Correct.
Is right here. And I think that to give you guys a sense of where we're at, this is Petaluma, but we're kind of a little bit south east of Petaluma, and we are looking at Mount Tamalpais right over the Marin border here. So right off of Highway 37 that will take you inland if you're going to Tahoe or something like that. This is the place that we're really like kind of looking at is Highway 37. We can't see it because this is a nice hill right here. But the wind is coming in from the ocean, which is directly west of us. And it comes in and the fog comes in. It's warm here, not hot. So this is not where you grow Cabernet Sauvignon. It's not where you grow Zinfandel. It's where you grow Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Pinot Gris. And I've fallen in love with these wines through the years. I think this is a great estate. A lot of people, let me just ask you this question. You make wines. How many cases of wine? What's your average?
About 4,000 cases.
About 4,000 cases. How many acres do you have?
95 acres.
95 acres. What's the percentage of what you grow to what you sell?
We sell about, on any given year, between 40 to 60% of our grapes.
There you go. A lot of great wineries buy their fruit too. So it's not just the Keller Estate. It's also this site is so important to other people that's what makes it so great.
It is. And I think also one of the beautiful things that the wind gives us, it creates wines with beautiful bright acidity, yeah. But it also, that wind is beating every day on the skins of the grapes, and it's thickening the skins. And as we know, or as we are learning today, in the skins we have flavors, we have tannins, and that really gives the wines a lot more depth and elegance.
Absolutely. And here we go into this amazing Pinot Noir. 2017. Actually, a very good vintage for, especially for Pinot. Now, listen to why 17 was so crazy was the heat wave. And the heat wave was, Labor Day weekend, which was nuts. It was like one of the craziest ones. And we also had the fires. But the Pinot Noir is picked before those things happened. So this is an advantage to the Pinot Noir that year. It was ripe, but, it was different.
So you know what we did? We let the fruit hang through the heat wave.
Yep.
We were in no rush. We watered the vines. We had a lot of our grape clients were panicking. They needed the fruit, so we had all that slot filled up, and we just waited patiently for the fruit, for the vines to bounce back. And they did, and the things got leveled off, acid came back, and we were able to produce really nice, beautiful, vibrant wines after so, you know, there's a little patience that happens, and there's always a little gambling that happens when you grow grapes.
Yeah, that was a great winemaker's vintage because you had to really do it right. And in some cases you had to make some corrections. Pinot Noir was not that case. It was a very good one. Everything definitely ripened. Don't worry about that. But when you have such big heat, it will just shut down the grapes. They're not ripening right then. The leaves actually go like this. So that's what was different. The advantage here is the wind does come in, and it is a great thing, and that really helped actually with the fire too. I mean, because the wind was going that way, so it wasn't steady here. That's the bad memory of the 17 vintage is the fires, and they were big. But this is tasting fantastic on the other hand, you know. So you know, what is the style that you think is expressed here, and you know, through the years, how many vintages have you done?
So this 2020 will be our 20th vintage. We go with a century, and we've been growing grapes since 1989. So we've had a chance to grow grapes for a bit longer, giving us good education, but that also has given us, you know, we farm about 40 acres of Pinot Noir, and we have different blocks, all planted in different styles, some different orientations, different parts of the property, different clones of Pinot Noir. So just for those of you who may be learning a bit more about wine, clones are varietals, are sub-varietals within the Pinot Noir family. And each clone brings something different to the picture. The La Cruz is really based on Pommard clone, which is a clone that, the way I described it, is sort of a Christmas tree clone. Because it gives the wine a beautiful long backbone, great tannin structure, and so it kind of creates a nice long wine. Then we add some other clones that we grow at that part of the property, which gives them balance and brightness and cherries. So it kind of complements the wines very much.
Yeah, I've always loved the Pommard clone. So we would say plant material is kind of the better way to kind of describe clones because they come in with numbers. They come from the old world. Remember, this is not indigenous. This is not indigenous stuff that was just growing here and you start, you know, putting it on trellis systems or anything. It's much more of a especially with Pinot, which is not the easiest grape to deal with, to be really honest, and it's not the easiest wine to make. So it's really interesting having these things that really shine in different vintages, but you have a core there with Pommard. And if you really ask me, when you go to Oregon and you really talk about the Dijon clones that they brought into the United States, really my favorite ones tend to be the ones with Pommard in. Yeah, go figure. It just has more body structure. And you can even just smell it. I mean, it's the density you can almost smell in this wine. It's fantastic. Such natural richness. You know, there's that little bit of dried roses on the kinds of nose, but that rich red fruit is there. It's got some kind of dark cherry on the backbone. There's a teeny touch of the cola, not much, especially not like there's the Vadensville clone always reminds me of root beer barrel candies. Now, almost every time it tastes almost exactly like that. But, you know, this kind of more of a cherry cola bit, and it's kind of that backbone part. It's beautiful.
So this wine is actually grown in an area that's a bit more protected from the wind than our second vineyard, which is El Coro and sits at the ridge top. And that little protection kind of gives the wines a bit more, they're a little bit more fruit forward. And they also shine that spiciness that we have in the bottom portion of the vineyard. So I always find there's these nutmeg and Christmas spice at the back of the wine, which makes it beautiful to pair with, you know, with food. Well, Pinot is a natural pair.
No doubt. And I think we've gone a long ways as far as the food culture, especially for sommeliers like myself. What we can do with Pinot Noir is so different, especially when it's got some big body like this one does. And I think the other thing is the acidity. This is exactly what the Petaluma Gap is about. You know, when you go back and you look at Wine Spectator Top 100, Costa Brown wine that got #1 a few years ago. 90% of it was from the Petaluma Gap. Go figure, because it just has that generosity, but it also has acid and backbone. And I think this is a great example of that.
Thank you. And I always love, you know, the style of wines that we're looking to make are consistent with our fruit. And they're really meant to highlight our property. And so I'm always looking for wines that are just fruit forward but elegant. And the acidity certainly helps us give that, that nuance. My dad always says to make the wines with as little alcohol as you can, so that we can drink as much as we want.
Ooh, I like that. You know, for me, just thinking about this, obviously chicken's a good one, but duck, I mean, it's got that body of duck. And Liberty Duck, one of our favorite producers, it's based right here in Petaluma. And also one that really kind of strikes me, if I was to do chicken, I might do chicken pomegranate, which is the Armenian style with that little bit of spice to it too. And I just really like that. It's fantastic. So we also have one more just to kind of explain, you know, why, besides being able to drink it when it's young, aging these kinds of Petaluma Gap wines are so fun, you know, since, you know, I've been working with these wineries for 25 years, but this is a 2010 vintage, you know, which was one of those great vintages if you picked it at the right time, because there was a heat wave in that one too, which is really crazy. And especially, that's a protection shield here, is that the wind helped this area. You know, I remember those Chardonnay vines, and some of them in Russian River got fried, and it scared me. Like, just look at these poor things that were like the fresh, crisp apple, and then it just got baked in the oven. So that was like 1 day period. But this is a great one for you. It's really showing nicely on the nose. It's got a lot more of the earth tones to it, high-toned fruit, almost like a blood orange peel kind of thing coming off the nose. Really, you know, it's got those alluring spices. It's really nice. I love the tone of this, and I haven't tasted it yet. So let's do it. Oh boy. That is fantastic. That is so alive.
It is beautiful. It's got, you know, it doesn't have that bright red fruit that you come to expect from a younger wine, but it's just, the tannins are kind of nice and mellowed out. It's nice and brown. You've got that bright acidity at the front, so it's a great wine for pairing.
10 years later, we're drinking it. This is amazing. The vintage looks good right now. Obviously, we've got some warm weather coming, and it is warm outside right now. But, you know, I'm really looking forward to following this vintage with you, as I've been following them all along. This is a really special appellation, as we were talking about before too. This is the first appellation ever in America to be based on wind. And it's because of what's coming off that Bodega Bay, that map that I showed you at the very beginning, and where we're at here, which is just south, a little bit southeast of the town, the cute town of Petaluma. And here we are drinking these fabulous wines. And this is a great estate to visit. KellerEstate.com. You can come here and visit as soon as, you know, tasting rooms open up again. I was just glad that you had me here, and it's always great to taste wines with you.
Cheers.
Cheers to that one. So please come and visit them, you guys. And these are the great wines of Keller Estate. Enjoy. Cheers.